Neverending Chain by Dragon Translator. Chapter 100. Hatchlings! 100 chapters in, guys. Wow. As Stormfly promised, they arrived at the hatchling nest just as the sun began to sink, beyond what Gita called the horizon, though everyone else said it was the edge of the world. Hiccup turned his gaze down to the island instead of the horizon. He trusted Gita's term for it, and her knowledge that the world was round over the others. The others also swore dragons were monsters and would always go for the kill, after all. They flew over an extension that had a small pond of water in the centre. None of the dragons upon the nest go near that pond, and any hatchling that would see that step to claw that way was promptly shuffled back. Hiccup crinkled his nose at the smell rising from the water, even this far up. "Sulphur," Gita said. At that word, Shadowfire immediately rose higher with powerful flaps of his wings. Startled, Toothless and Stormfly followed. They reached the clouds and the smell was not as noticeable. "What is sulphur?" Hiccup asked, slowly pronouncing the new word. "A deadly gas that comes from under the earth." Gita responded, "A tiny amount breathed in and you'll get knocked out. Problem is, while you are sleeping, you're still breathing it in. Too much kills you." "Why would the dragons choose this place to hatch their babies?" Astrid asked as Shadowfire dove when they were far beyond the small pond. "Only that little bit of water had the sulphur, and it's got land surrounding it. It's likely a vent in the world's crust is allowing the gas to escape right there, but nowhere else on the island. As for why this place was chosen, I suspect the waters around the island are very warm. Warmer waters means more food for fish, which means more food for dragons who eat fish. The waters are warm and full of fish," Stormfly said. "We did know of that water and that the dragons recognized the smell as a bad thing. We did not know exactly what it was, or what would happen if any ventured there, which is why it's a forbidden part of the island. Thank you, Elder Gita. I can inform the other dragons now." "You're welcome. Come," Stormfly said. "We are settled near a cave on the other side of the island, far from that smelly water." She banked over the island. Toothless and Shadowfire followed her. Hiccup could see a mix of Nadders, Gronkles, Zibblebacks and Nightmares stop what they were doing to watch the 3 dragons fly overhead. Some stared in confusion. Some glared. Many looked on with curiosity. A few stared with open hostility. Thankfully, Stormfly flew away from them as well. They landed upon a rocky area. The land was large enough that adult dragons could lay down in the sun if they wished, but it did end abruptly in a steep cliff on the south side. Hiccup could not help but grin. Berk held many such cliffs. It seemed the nest dragons felt at ease here, because it reminded them of home. At least, Hiccup hoped so. "Welcome, our Alpha." Hiccup turned from looking out over the waters beyond the cliff and smiled at knowledge and wisdom, befitting their places as an elder, approached him before even the other bonded dragons. Both heads bowed. The other adults of the cave behind him all also bowed to Hiccup. To his surprise, the dragons around his did not blink an eye at their actions. He looked closer, and his smile grew. The dragons that nested near his were the 3 flocks that rested in Berk and left with the nest dragons. Hiccup was happy that his dragons were among friends. "Come, Alpha," Knowledge said. "Lady Alpha," Wisdom continued. "The hatchlings," Knowledge added, "are in the cave," Wisdom finished. The Zibbleback moved to the cave opening, but stopped beside it, and gestured for Hiccup and Astrid to precede him. Hiccup took Astrid's hand with one of his, and with a smiling glance at Toothless, Gita and Shadowfire, who waited where they had landed, both entered the cave. Stormfly followed them. She chittered. Hiccup gasped softly as many fires resting in the opened throats illuminated the centre of the cave. 60 pairs had left the nest, and given the number of little dragons rushing around the floor, it seemed that each pair had at least 2, if not 3, hatchlings. As soon as their parents lit up the cave, the hatchlings stopped and turned. Stormfly moved to stand beside Hiccup and chirped. She then bowed, wings spread. The mix of hatchlings chittered and squeaked. It sounded questioning, and Stormfly responded. Go on, Alpha, she said, standing and turning her head so that she could stare at him. Meet them. Hiccup and Astrid stepped closer to the hatchlings. They all watched with dilated eyes. When they got within arm's distance of the hatchlings, Hiccup and Astrid sat down. 3 Nada hatchlings, no bigger than Ringfire's smallest hatchling when Hiccup and Astrid first met them, shuffled closer. A green-blue one spread its wings and hissed. Stormfly gave a sharp chirp. The hatchling immediately crooned. Stormfly chittered. The purple one beside the green-blue one looked at its friend, snorted, and walked right up to Hiccup. Hiccup held up his hand, palm out, and turned his gaze. He heard a series of chitters, then felt a small beak press into his hand. He turned back. The purple Nada cooed and began nuzzling. Hiccup smiled. He gently scratched a head no bigger than his own hand, and that held only knobs where a crown of horns would show later. The Nada squawked, ducked under Hiccup's arm, and jumped into his lap. He winced when its claws hit a certain place he was not ready for. He glanced at an abbreviated snort. Astrid, who had the red-orange Nada in her lap and was running her hand down a tail devoid of spikes, looked as if she was biting back laughter. Hiccup frowned, then smirked. He leaned over, his lips finding her ear. Would have thought you wouldn't want any part of me hurt, my love. Especially there. Astrid snorted. You'll heal. Hiccup sat back and stared at her. She grinned, leaned over, and kissed him. That caused the Nadas and the other hatchlings to chitter. Hiccup turned just as the rest of the hatchlings, deciding the humans in the midst were not dangerous, rushed forward. Hiccup forgot the tease between him and Astrid, as he had to contend with nightmares the length of his arm trying to push the purple Nada out of his lap. Zibblebacks the same size as the nightmares, all nuzzling against his hair and back, and the blue-green Nada now wanting attention, and the Gronkles, half the size as the others, crawled all over his legs. Even as the parents tried to wrangle their young into some semblance of an order, Hiccup knew he would not want this to have gone any differently. This was what made being an alpha and dealing with the uncertainty of it all worth it. These young would not even be here had he not befriended what had been a demon in his people's eyes, and had he not killed the true demon in everyone's eyes. This, seeing these young being free and happy, made him feel as if he truly was an alpha, truly was their alpha, that he did really deserve that title, and all that came with it. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Love that one. The baby dragons are so cute, and that flirt! Holy heck, these two are getting bold. Anyway, yeah, you guys know the drill. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell to get notified when I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, girls, and bye my pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.